Hi, and welcome back to another Tech Talk. Today's talk will focus on YouTube for ministry. Now let's get started.
All right, so you are probably here because you want to launch a YouTube channel in support of your ministry. Maybe you want to have your YouTube channel be your ministry, or maybe you're just interested in what it would look like to start a Christian YouTube channel. And what I want to talk through today is kind of three pillars. One, you have your strategy. Strategy is absolutely key, right? You don't want to start something and just throw a video on YouTube and see what happens. You want to have a strategy going into it so that you can have measurable outcomes. Otherwise, it's really easy to get discouraged and be like, oh, I only have 10 views. Oh, am I doing anything? So you have to have a very clear strategy moving forward. Second, you want to know a workflow. What kind of software? A lot of people have video editing questions and background music or all this kind of stuff. They have all these questions and they don't even know what's out there. And so I just want to answer my workflow. I can't go through all workflows, but I want to show you what's worked for me. It's relatively budget friendly. There are free options, but you're always going to run into the issue of time versus money. Either you're going to put in more time and less money, or you're going to put in more money and less time. It's just, that's non-negotiable, but we'll talk through kind of my middle ground where I spend a little bit of money, but I get a lot of bang for my buck kind of thing. And then three, just the hardware, the equipment. What kind of camera do you want to use? That kind of stuff. So we're going to try and cover all that. The majority is going to focus on strategy. One, because that's what I'm most passionate about. And two, that's what I think people undervalue the most. Most people try and go and they just throw a video on there and like, oh, what video editing software do I need? What camera do I need? To me, that's secondary to the content. You'll hear me say over and over, content is king. And so if you want to be successful on YouTube or really any speaking ministry period, my view, and I think a lot of people's view, is focus on the content and try and master the other stuff, but never leave content aside for all the other peripheral things. So let's jump right into strategy. We're going to start there. And as you're thinking, and I'm going to use my YouTube channel a lot as examples because it's just front of mind kind of thing. You want a mission statement for your channel. This is not pedantic. This is not fluff content. This is not fluff concept or things to do or busy work, whatever. It's really important to know, why are you doing this? Why are you creating a YouTube channel? If you don't know that, you probably don't have any business doing it. And so it's really important for yourself because you can remind yourself of that why when hard times strike. If it's for a good reason, you can push through those hard times. If it was just because you want more views or you want to be famous, then you're likely just going to fail, and it's not going to be a good enough why to push you forward unless you're extremely selfish. And that's not what we're promoting here, right? We're promoting kingdom building. And so you want to have a very clear mission statement. You also want to have a very clear topic. So influence is in the niches. Like we can talk about influence because we want to be an influence for Jesus. A lot of people want to be an influence for themselves, but we want to be an influence for Jesus. But on YouTube now, it's becoming more and more domain specific. What I mean by that is starting a Bible and theology podcast is not going to cut it anymore, because now you're competing with everyone else on YouTube who's creating all sorts of Bible and theology content. That's not precise enough. You have Old Testament scholars who are already focusing on Old Testament issues. You have New Testament scholars who are starting to focus on New Testament issues. So if you just try and do Bible and theology podcast, you are now competing with all of those different people in their expert domains. So if you create a video in your Bible and theology podcast on Genesis 1, you're not going to go in as much depth or do it as well as that Old Testament podcast. Same with if you do a New Testament concept for New Testament, right? Bible Project is kind of already like squared the market on Bible and theology. And so we have to get more specific, and it actually ends up bringing more value to people because you can answer specific questions in your domain better. So my specific emphasis is New Testament. I'm trying to create a New Testament channel that really revolves around both apologetics related to the New Testament and then theology and exegesis in the New Testament. So I really hone in specifically. I've been honing in on the Gospels and arguments for Jesus's resurrection, arguments for authorship of the Gospels. Did Matthew really write Matthew? Things like that. And it tends to help when you're more specific because other people don't have the time to answer those questions when they're trying to cover the whole Bible, things like that. So that's just why topic is so important. Target audience. You really want to know your target audience well because you want to know who you're talking to. It's so hard when you look into the lens of a camera and you just think, I'm talking to a camera. But if you have what we call a business avatar, if you have your ideal target audience, a person who you would say, I would sit across from them and get coffee and talk to them about this topic, now you can really imagine them in your mind's eye as you're talking to a camera. And so target audience is really important. It's also important for strategy because you're going to talk a certain way in your scripts. If you're scripting or you're outlining or things like that, you're going to use illustrations and examples that mean something to your target audience. You would use a different example for a lot of stuff for a 60-year-old than you would a 20-year-old. Illustrations aren't going to land the same way. So you're not going to use a TikTok illustration for a 60-year-old. And so also that's why target audiences are so important, because the way you frame things is going to radically change it depending on who that is. And then you need realistic goals. So you do not set yourself up to fail and say, oh, you know what? I'm going to hit 100,000 subscribers in a year. Some people do it, not many. Wes Huff did it because he got lucky. He had an interview with, what was his name? Billy Carson, and he made Billy Carson look silly online, and he debunked all of what Billy Carson has been teaching. And then Joe Rogan heard about it, had Wes Huff on Joe Rogan, and then from there, boom, he just skyrocketed. It's because of perception, right? It's like right place, right time, all the stars aligned, and now he's almost at 1 million subscribers after I think it's been a little over a year since that Joe Rogan interview. But that's not normal. Normal growth is slowly but surely more and more people discover your channel over time. So expect 2 years of serious effort before you see any sign of real growth. I'm talking in 2 years, if you have 5,000 subscribers, that's already really good. And that sounds daunting, but guys who have been doing this a long time, and you see them, they have 100,000 subscribers or something like that, they started 8-10 years ago. And they'll tell you those first couple years are an absolute grind because they're learning how to make content. They didn't know how to make a good video. They didn't know how to public speak. And so you have to learn as you go. And eventually you get better at your craft while more people discover you. And it's two birds, one stone. Honestly, you don't want too many people to discover you at first if your content's terrible, because they're going to see it and they're never going to want to watch it again. So that's why you have to have the training wheels on. You work at it for a couple of years, you get good at it. And then once you get good at it, now when more people come in, they're like, oh, this is great stuff. So having said that, that's how do you even strategize having a channel before you even think of the name? Like what am I doing here? Why do I want to start a YouTube channel? That's what you need to think of. Now, once you know your topic and your target audience and things like that, now you want to know what form do you want your content to take. So I'm New Testament studies. So I could take different forms of content within New Testament studies. I could answer specific questions. What is textual criticism? What do scholars say about the resurrection today? What this, what that? You're answering a specific question that people might have. Is divine sovereignty and free will at odds with one another in New Testament salvation? I don't know, things like that. You're answering questions that people might be interested in. Second, you could have an actual podcast, 2-person podcast, have discussion prompts, questions, whatever, and you pick someone's brain or you dialogue. Very normal for podcasts. It's hard. Those are very personality driven. It's not like the content's bad, but people tend to follow those podcasts long term because of personality, not just content. Answer specific questions tends to be the best way to grow at first, because you're providing value to less people for sure, but you tend to, when someone finds you and you answer the specific question that they have, you build trust. And now you've built that trust with that person subscribes to you, and that can snowball after years and years of effort. Again, this takes years. We're not talking months here. Step 3, you can respond to heretics. It's my fun way to say it, but there's all sorts of stuff online on YouTube, excuse me, where people they're just spouting nonsense, right? They're just making stuff up. They don't have good education with this stuff. They don't have a theological background or anything like that, and they're just spouting stuff. And so there's reaction videos. You can, in the spirit of grace, there is a proper posture where you can take a video and you can respond to it and you can show people why it's wrong. The alternative to that is just letting that content be out there and get millions of views with no pushback. And we know that's not right. You don't want to be like an angry person. The response videos on YouTube, it can be kind of a bad culture, but I think we can redeem it and we can say there is a place to quote unquote respond to heretics. So I do think there's important aspects to that. So there's also creating long form lecture series. I recommend this to a lot of professors who they've done in-depth studies of things before. And you don't want to put that all in one video. That's overwhelming for someone. People aren't going to watch like a 10-hour video. But if you break it up into lecture series, you can find a niche audience who's really interested in diving into a specific topic in depth. A really good example of this is the resurrection. I haven't yet, but I plan to make like a 10 or 20 video series of evidence for the resurrection, because it's really, there's a lot of it. And so you can't do it justice unless you do a lot of it, or you just skim over it in one video. And so there is a place for longer videos. They're not going to be your most views. But for the people who are interested, I do think you're going to get loyal subscribers, people who really want to follow your content because you've provided a huge amount of value for them. Step 5, find your groove. You can try all these out, find which one you like to do, and do that one. At the end of the day, consistency and persistency is going to win. And so you just need to find the video type that you most jive with. It doesn't have to be the only one you do in the future, but find one that you like and just keep doing it, and do it and do it. And eventually you'll find that people will find your content that they really vibe with your content, and they'll stick with you. So a lot of it is making sure you gear your own YouTube channel around what you like. And this is kind of my self-check. When I post a video, I need to take a step back and I ask myself, would I watch this video? Would I like this? If I were scrolling on YouTube and I saw this title, thumbnail, and I clicked in and I watched the video, would I enjoy it? If the answer is no, I don't make it. Maybe someone might like that video, but if I don't, long-term, I'm just going to get tired of it. And so follow your passion, follow your hobby on YouTube, and you'll make the most of it. So there's a step 6 here. I'm not going to go through that. It's not that important. This is once you have kind of a lot of viewers and a lot of people who really look up to you, then you can start giving recommendations. But it's not relevant for starting a YouTube channel. So workflow strategy in terms of, how many videos a month, how long for a single recording. This I originally made this for professors, so some of this isn't going to directly apply. So GTA participation, ignore that. But how long is each video? One recording per month, multiple recordings, things like that. Simple answer: there's a balance, quality and quantity. Ideally, you want to post one long form video, so like a horizontal video, like what you think of a normal YouTube video. We call those long form videos. At least you really want once a week. That's kind of the ideal marker. That's pretty typical. Some people say, oh, but what if I just post once a month and I really increase the quality of that video? Unless your once a week videos are terrible and your once a month videos are like near viral type videos that are just excellent, I still recommend once a week. The reason being is human psychology. If someone sees one of your videos and they like it, but they have to wait a whole month before they see another video of yours on their feed, and they might even miss it, right? So that means there's only one chance for them to see it in a month. Maybe they don't see it till the next month. So now there's 2 months between when they liked a video, and I just mean psychologically, not necessarily they hit the like button, but they enjoyed it. And 2 months later, they find another video. They've already forgotten that they liked your original video. There's going to be a kind of a cognitive dissonance there where there's just a disconnect. Now, if you go weekly, there are a lot of opportunities for them to see your content again and say, oh, you know what? I remember watching a video of theirs a week or 2 ago. I'll click on another one. It's just that consistency and repetition that brings you front of mind and keeps people thinking about your content. And a month separation it's a little bit too long to be practical. And so my recommendation is always once a week. And if you can, cut that video up into shorts and create one short per day. If you don't know what a short is, we can talk about that after this talk. But it's an Instagram reel, right? It's a short. It's things like that. So having said that, one video per week. If you have to go one video every other week, that's acceptable, but not ideal. And then in one recording session, I recommend, if you can, say your videos are 10 minutes long. I'm doing 10-minute videos right now. Some people like to do hour videos. Just depends on your content and things like that. But I personally like to try and record 4 videos in one session. So that's like an afternoon of work. And then I will we'll talk about workflow in a second, but I'll send them off to a video editor. the video editor edits all 4 of them at the same time. Very helpful, and it helps me. Now I just have to spend 1 day a month working on 4 videos. That actually gets me 1 video a week because I can just schedule it out. Now, how long is each video? This is the question that people ask all the time. Should I start with 10-minute videos? Should I ask 30-minute videos, hour videos? Don't think of it in terms of you need to have a specific time limit. You need to cater the topic, or you need to cater the time of the video to the topic. So if the topic demands a longer video, then either do a longer video or do episodes. The next video I'm trying to do is on how do we know, based on normal historical evidence that, secular and religious scholars use alike, just the normal historical methodology, what events can we prove in Jesus' life? Assuming all that normal historians talk about. And I realize that's too big of a topic for 1 video, but I kind of want to keep it in 10 minutes or so. And so I'm just going to break it up into 3 separate videos, post them. And then once I'm done with those videos, then I can combine them into a full series edition. And now I've got 3 shorter videos and the longer version all on my channel. And that's kind of my plan. So you just got to get creative. But the worst thing you can do is either create an hour video for for content that would only take 10 minutes and now it's just a bunch of fluff, or the opposite, you skim through a bunch of important information and no one actually gets value out of it because it needed to be an hour video and you only spent 10 minutes on the topic. So really think about what does the topic need so that I can provide value to my viewers, and then let the time or amount of videos that you do flex based on that. So now let's talk about titles and thumbnails a little bit. So titles and thumbnails are basically the marketing of YouTube. So the thing about titles and thumbnails is if you don't figure out how to do these, you're never going to get clicks so that people can determine if your content is good or not. A lot of people are scared of being clickbaity or things like that. And I totally understand, but you also have to make your video stand out. Otherwise, no one's going to get to your content. And so my recommendation, I'll just read this real quick, is come up with a topic, catchy title, and thumbnail before the intro to the video. Then the first 7, 15, and 30 seconds of the video need to flow directly out of the thumbnail and title. We're looking for good continuity between these 3 things. Why is that? If you have a title and a thumbnail that are unrelated to your hook at the beginning of your video, people are going to feel cheated. That's where clickbait happens, is you say, heretic arrested for blasphemy. And then you get into the video, and the first thing that you say is, hey, welcome to my channel where we talk about all things Bible. And, it's just so glad for you all I'm just so glad that y'all are all here, and please hit the subscribe button. People already lost you. They're like, I clicked to hear about a heretic that got arrested. And so if that's the kind of topic you want to create, you better deliver in the first 10 seconds. Otherwise, people are gone. People have the attention spans of mice. Now, we all know that. And so you have to cater to that to some degree. And so you just want to make sure there's a really good flow from title and thumbnail to the actual hook. You can do your intro. Don't do your intro in the first 10 seconds. Pay off the title and thumbnail in the first 10 seconds so people know they're going to get what they clicked on. And then in the full video, you better pay off whatever you promised. Otherwise, you're just losing trust. If you promise something and you don't deliver, people are never going to watch your stuff again. They're like, that guy just lied to me. I'm never clicking on a video again. It's just clickbait. And then as soon as that happens, YouTube stops promoting your videos, and your channel's just toast. You can redeem it if you've done bad. As long as you reverse that and you start doing good content again, eventually you can fix it, but it does put you kind of in a rut for a while. So for titles, here's my recommendation. You want a balance of informative and sensational. So you want sensational so that people will click, but you want informative so that people know what it's about and they can search for it in the future, like in the search bar of YouTube or even Google, right? Because when you Google search, you get YouTube results now. It's been happening for a while, actually. But sensational just says you want to cause something like some cognitive dissonance or a question to come up with them, or curiosity or doubt, or you want some emotional response to the title that goes from, oh, that's interesting, I guess, to, oh, I have to click on that. If I don't click on that, I'm going to die because I don't know what it's about. Now, we can't always, based on the topic, create that amount of emotion, but we want to do the best that we can to bring out the proper emotions that are appropriate for the topic. Again, we can't be like secular people who, if all they care about is clicks and whatever, they're just going to blast you with clickbait stuff. I'm not saying do that. But even if they do that, they end up losing trust and people don't go back and watch more. So it's just a bad business practice in general to try and maximize views and clicks without doing other stuff. So yeah, creates tension and conflict, relates personally and specifically to your target audience. So here's a couple examples I use of a bad title versus a good title. How to mature as a Christian. We might think, oh yeah, that's a good title for a video. That's a good title for a sermon, whatnot. It doesn't create emotion in you. There's nothing, I'm like, oh, maybe a tad bit of curiosity if I have that specific question. But a more emotive video is why you keep on sinning. That immediately brings an emotive response that says, I do need to know why I keep sinning. And of course, the implication is, well, how can I stop sinning? And it's the same thing. How to mature as a Christian or why I keep on sinning. It's actually the same topic. It's just the package, the how you're framing that content and showing it to someone. A second one, 10 ways you know you aren't a Christian heretic, much more of an emotive response than 10 things you must believe to be a true Christian. One just brings, oh, I don't want to be a heretic, so let me click on this video and make sure I'm not a heretic. That's much more emotionally responsive than 10 things you must believe to be a true Christian. So let's stop here, and we're going to transition to a little bit of workflow. That gives you a really good idea of how to create a video. Only other thing I'll mention, as you can read here, I'm going to post this in the video description, but you really want to focus on the first 7 seconds of the video. It's crucial to use that time to grab the listener. Attention spans are terrible. The first 7 seconds, you should spend like half hour to an hour just planning that. You got to figure out what's perfect for that specific part of the video, and it will pay off in dividends for the whole video. Retention rate is so important when we think about the success of any individual video. Excuse me. Now, what is my workflow once I've recorded a video? What do? I've put the camera. I've hit record, I've recorded, I'm done. Now what do I do with that video? I like to do 3 things. One, I send it off to a video editor and I pay him $15 a video. I pay it out of pocket. To me, it's just an expense. It saves me about 2 hours. So in my mind, spending $15 to save 2 hours is worth it with how busy I am. Some people don't think that is the case. Some people think, oh no, I'd much rather spend the 2 hours than the $15. That's totally fine. This is personal preference. What I have this video editor do though, because that's cheap, right? So what I have this video editor do is very simple. Remove any repetitions, remove ums and ahs, anything like that, any pauses, delays, etc. That's it. No B-roll, nothing special, no background music, none of that. I just want him to clean up the video so that if I showed it to someone, they'd be like, oh yeah, that's a good speech, I guess. Nothing fancy, it's just a video of you talking, but it's nice. Excuse me. That's step 1. I send him 4 videos at once. Like I said, I record 4 at once, and I send all 4 of those video and audio files. He puts the video and audio together for me. He sends me back an MP4 file for each video, and then I do 2 things with each of those videos. One, I upload it to this app called Descript, and it does some things for me that are important. And then 2, I upload it to another platform called Opus.pro. Both of these are subscription based, so it's I think $100 a year for each of them, so that comes out to like $10 a month. And so again, there's some price involved. You can do all this manually, but again, it's the relationship between money and time. Which do you want to spend? And I'm trying to do the middle ground because having a video editor do this would be far more expensive than paying for these subscriptions. So I upload a video to Descript is one thing I do, and it will automatically generate cuts and B-roll for me that look pretty good. So I come here, it automatically creates a transcript like this, and then it will create different B-roll like this. This is a scene 1, and then it changes to scene 2, scene 3, scene 4, with all this B-roll is automatically created through AI. Scene 5, scene 6, scene 7. And as you can see, there's also captions. That's all automatic. 7, 8. So it's creating all these scenes and all this B-roll, and it does a really, really good job. So let me just show you the first 10 seconds. Wasn't worshipped during his lifetime, that he was just a wise Jewish teacher and only centuries. So you see, it's just really smooth cuts. AI did all of that. It wasn't my video editor and it wasn't me. All I did was I came over here and I hit quick design. It took about 3 minutes of rendering and it spit that out. Next, it will also automatically create a YouTube description for me. I can just hit submit. Based on the transcript, it creates a basic description and it creates the chapters with the correct timestamps. This saves me, I kid you not, an hour of time. Not an hour, maybe a half hour, but it just takes time to create chapters and these timestamps. So very quick. Once I'm done with that, I download it as a local file. I upload it to YouTube, my title, thumbnail, video description, and I post it. Boom, the long form video is done. Next, I take the video from the video editor and I upload it to Opus Pro. And what Opus Pro can do is I'm not going to show you the details because I can't get into the weeds here. It's very intuitive. You can learn from the website. But it creates shorts automatically for you using AI. 60-second videos that are vertical in nature, so it's like a reel or a short, and then you can automatically schedule them after you've created them to post to Shorts, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, Facebook posts, X posts, and LinkedIn posts all at once. Extremely time saving if you want to go to multiple platforms for short form content. And my goal is 1 to 2 shorts every single day. And it cuts the long form video that I already recorded into smaller segments, and it rates them based on how viral it thinks it will get, right? Basically, how good is the video? And so I do that start to finish after I've recorded, send it to video editor, get it back, upload it to these 2 platforms, finish the long form video, post that to YouTube, take the shorts from Opus Pro and schedule them on all those platforms. That's basically my workflow. And the last thing that I didn't cover is the hardware, cameras and things like that. But I actually have cameras here that we can look at and we can test. I use all Canon cameras, and so we've got some basic cameras here that we can test. All right, so that's really all I have, all the content I have for now. Thank you for listening, and I hope you got some value out of this, and I hope that more people start YouTube channels because of this. Good to see you all.
We hope this information was helpful. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you at the next Tech Talk.